Hello, welcome to the Scandinavian Football Podcast. In this podcast, we're mainly going to talk in Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish football with a dip into the Estonian leagues as well. Joined by my brother.
Right.
And yeah, so let's just get into it. We're going to talk Estonia today, as that's a league that's recently only just started. So we're going to talk about each team, how we feel they're going to get on, how they've started already in the season. So let's get into it. So who should we start with?
Let's start with Flora. Champions last year. Haven't started this year because of COVID. Hopefully they can play on Sunday against Legion if everything goes well. But yeah, Flora smashed the league last year. Only lost once. I can imagine it'd be something very similar again this season.
Do you think they'll win the league again this year?
Yeah.
Yeah?
They'll win it again. They've lost some players, but they've gained some players as well.
They've signed Sergei Zenyov from Karaganda. They've also signed Henrik Ojama, who's had stints in England with Derby County. He was signed from Widzew Łódź in Poland. But yeah, you've said they've lost some players. Vlasily Sieniewski, who joined Karvina in the Czech Republic. And they also lost Frank Levac, who went to rivals Levadia, which I think is
Exciting for Levadia.
big sign-up.
Flora still have the spine with Martin Kusk, Konstantin Vasilayev, and Rino Sapinen, who's way too good for the Estonian league anyway. He could do it in Holland, Slovenia, as he has in the past. He'd probably get away doing it in Sweden, those kind of leagues. So he'll smash him in. 20 plus goals last season, probably very similar again this season. Flora. I think Levadia were running close, but Flora is still too good.
Okay, so let's move on to Levadia then. I actually think they are going to be the ones to win the league. They've looked great so far this season. They've won every game. They've scored 13 goals in 3 games. Some decent signings. They've signed Ernest Aguirre, who is a former Man City player who was recently released in June of 2020. A few loan spells dotted about here and there. But he started strong, 2 goals, 2 assists. He looks like a really, really good player at this level. They've also signed Beglarishvili from FC KTB in Finland, who's a former Flora player, actually. He was only in Finland for a year. And he's hit the ground running as well. Hat-trick in his last game.
Yeah.
4 goals in 3 games, couple assists as well. Levadia just looked really, really strong to me.
Yeah, new goalie, Karl-Andre Valner, called up to the Estonian national team. So it won't be long before he becomes number 1 there, maybe, after a good season here. Hannes Anier, brother of Pines Henry, just signed from Selina Kalev. He's got some big potential. Haven't only played once so far, so hopefully he'll get some game time coming up. And of course, Frank Levac from Flora. Good signing for them.
Yeah, they've also lost some players. Marcelin Gando, who was at Levadia for 5 or so years, he's just moved to Cyprus. He played a number of games, 156 games for Levadia, scored 48 goals for him over that spell. He'll be a big miss, but Ernest Aguirre, as we mentioned before, seems to be a very, very decent player.
Yeah. Thing with Levadia so far, they've played Legion, Pärnu, and Televic.
Not tough games.
Next game up against Normakalju. So that'll be their biggest.
Yeah, away from home.
If they can put 3 or 4 goals past them there. then I'd consider them to be title challenges, which they'll be anyway. But Kalju, Hyde, Nava, Flora, the next 4 games. So yeah, that'll be a challenge for them. Then we'll see where they are.
Yeah,
in the next 4 weeks.
So I see Levadia as the winners this year. I just think they've recruited well and playing well. So that's Levadia. Who should we move on to now? Hyde Limaskon?
Yeah. They'll be the
Yeah.
Flora and Levadia. Whichever way you want to put them in the table, they'll be the top 3.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, they've got Henri Ania, Simlutz, very good attacking. They'll put 4 or 5 past many teams this season.
Yeah, agreed. They've also, as you're going back to Henry Ania, he started the season very well. 3 goals in 3 games, even for his country. He scored 3 goals during the recent international break, 1 against the Czech Republic and 2 against Belarus. He's a very, very good player.
Yeah, he'll score most of the goals for him. Hyde last season scored most goals in the league with 80, but their problem is that they conceded too many. They conceded 43 goals, which was on par nearly with Navatrans, who just avoided relegation.
Yeah. It's kind of like that Leeds United effect in England, isn't it?
Yeah, with Hyde. We'll concede 3, but we'll score 4.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of the transfers they've made. They've got Diabas Owusu, who was actually there last year as well. Sorry. He started the season very well. I actually think he's injured at the minute, but he's gone 2-2. He's a very good player for them. They've also signed Hendrik Ojama, who is the brother of Henrik Ojama.
Yeah.
He's a right back. He's also joined from a Finnish team, FC KTP, which was the same team that Beglarashvili of Levadia played for last year. Abdul Yusuf, the centre-back, joined permanently from his loan spell, which was from Denju Rovers in Ghana, actually. He seems like a very good player at this level too. And they've lost Idrissa Lubega, whose loan spell ended, and he's gone back to Pribram in the Czech Republic. He scored 14 goals last season. So it's going to be on Owusu and Ania to get the goals for them.
Yeah, they're very good attacking, so I'm not worried about if they'll score or not. They just either a few games to get running, and then once they're up and running, they'll score, as long as they can keep them out.
Yeah. Well, they've designed Mikhail Aksalu in goal. See, 36, 37 now. Very experienced goalkeeper. I believe he started the first game for Estonia against the Czech Republic in the 6-2 defeat. So he's very experienced. They're fine with him in goal.
They've got Mark Toom on the bench as well, who's also very experienced in the league. Good goalie. So they're good in goal.
Yeah, have they got enough to challenge Flora and Levadia for the title?
Not this year. They'll come third. Yeah, top 2 would be between Flora and Levadia. I think Flora, Levadia, then Pop.
Yeah, okay. Let's go down then into what we think may be 4th place, which would probably be Nomakau. They're a good side, but
they've been struggling to break teams down so far this season. They're dominating possessions, but they lost another, which was a big shock. They beat Kura de Serra yesterday 2-0, but then that was hard to come by. Typical Kura Serra fashion, they conceded just before halftime. But yeah, Kalju battered them, but that's to be expected. I can just see them being best of the bad bunch out of the top 4.
Yeah, they've fallen quite a bit from when they went unbeaten in the league and won the league title a few years back.
Yeah.
I was having a look at their squad, and the only noticeable change to it is actually signing Sergi Lempitz, goalkeeper, on a free transfer. He's recently released from Levadia. And he's very experienced in goal, but that's all I can really say for Calju. They're a decent side, but
they won't challenge Flora Levadia, but they're much better than the rest of the teams.
Yeah.
So yeah,
fourth place is fair enough. So we'll leave Calju there because there's not really much to say about them. They are what they are. Who do you think will finish fifth? If you were to pick a team to finish fifth,
I'd go with Temeka.
Temeka, yeah. Fifth out of 10th sums up Temeka.
They're the best out of all the rest of the teams. You know, they'll probably get pumped by your Pies, Levadias. They might be able to get the odd result against Calju. And you'd fully expect them to go on to be the other team. Parnu, Kurseva, Chelevik might come up around there. But Temeka, they've got a national team goalie.
Yeah, Karl-Johan Pecha, who I believe is also the captain.
Captain as well, yeah. So he'll be important for them. Tristan Koska up front. He'll be important. So he'll need to stay fit, score some goals. But they're not going to challenge for top four.
Yeah, I did. That they have brought in an experienced right back, Tayo Teniste, 33-year-old who actually signed from Brann.
Yeah, that's a good signing.
In the winter, he had a go at Sogndal in Norway as well, and he's also had a stint in Estonia around some clubs. Had some stability to the back line. They lost Sten Rencourt, who moved on to Flora, actually. Striker, 16 goals for Temeka in 83 games. He doesn't seem like a goal scorer, but he's played for Flora in the Cup, and he's scored already for him, but they've got the quality, haven't they? So
Temeka would be fifth or sixth. I can't see them being any higher or any lower than that. But that depends on whether the Trans can sort themselves out.
Yeah, I agree.
Who we'll move on to in a minute.
Yeah, I think that's all to say about Temeka. They're bang average. That's why we expect them to finish fifth. They're not good. They're not bad. They're not great. They are the definition of average, right?
Yeah.
So on to sixth. Sixth is a different one for me. It's a toss-up between two teams, but I'd actually go for Chelevik. You could stick Narva there, but for me, Narva just don't. I just don't agree with Narva. So I'm going to go for Chelevik. I still expect them to struggle, but there are worse teams in the league than Chelevik, which we'll get to in a minute. But they're too good to go down. Kainar Sag, their talisman, he scores all the goals for him. Still yet to score this year.
But they've lost. Chelevik have also started their starting goals for.
They have. Yeah.
Number one.
No, he won't play at Flora, which is strange. He's been the number one at Chelevik for the last 5 years, so it's a strange one.
Between them and Narva, I think.
Yeah. But they have signed an exciting young talent from Canada, Cameron Bushman Dormand, 18 years old. He actually scored on his debut. Did he mean it? Don't think so. It was a cross.
A cross shot.
But he looks like a talent. Maybe only 18 years old. Time to develop. See how long he sticks it at Chelevik before he moves on to the standard countries where these Estonian league players. Yeah. But yeah, Chelevik they are what they are. Actually, I think you kind of want them to push on a bit. They don't have the quality to challenge, but you feel like maybe they could be a Temeka kind of team. But it's just one of those things. You just can't figure out what they are.
Other than the big four, it's very hard to separate the bottom six. Maybe excluding Temeka.
Yeah.
Everyone else is a bit.
Yeah, I agree. So that's Televic, who we've got, who I reckon will finish in sixth. On to seventh place, I'll go for. I'm going to go for Legion.
Yeah, I said Marvel Trans not long ago, but I think Legion will finish seventh. I'm not convinced by Narva. I know they beat Nomakau. But I think that was more of an off day for Nomakau rather than Narva Trans being a good team.
Yeah, I agree.
Legion last season, the manager at the time says that he wanted them to be top four. Unfortunately, they weren't. They were quite low down.
Yeah, they're very ambitious. And I think they play good stuff. I don't think they're a bad side at all. I just don't think they have the quality to score goals, create goals, or keep clean sheets. But they are a decent side. They play really good stuff.
Yeah, they've made some good signings. Their whole teams seems to be different from last season. They've already used 3 goalies. They signed a new Latvian who had a good game yesterday.
Yeah, kept a clean sheet.
Clean sheet against Narva.
Yeah. I was surprised Legion didn't win that game. I would have expected them to win that.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. I actually watched the game, but I would have expected them to win that. There's not much really there on the transfer front either. They've signed Pavel Domov, who's a centre mid who played for Talina Kalev last year, who actually went down. He's also a former Flora Tallinn player. Seems like he'd be a good addition for them. Apart from that, there's not really much to say about them.
Yeah, they're just a team that should be better than what they are, maybe. They had back-to-back promotions. They're going to come out of nowhere. So now, they're probably just going to spend a few years to stabilise and then try push on to compete with maybe for the title. Who knows?
Yeah, I agree. I think that covers Legion. So we move on to 8th place, which will probably be Narva Trans.
Narva Trans,
yeah. Narva Trans are one of those teams where, I don't know, you kind of, when I first started following Estonian football, and I didn't realise how good teams were or who they were, I saw Narva Trans and I automatically assumed they were one of the good teams. Maybe that's why I'm so disappointed in them all the time. You just expect stuff from them, and they never get anywhere.
Yeah, well, they won the cup a couple of years ago. Since then, I had them to finish in the top 5 last season, but they finished 8th out of 10th, so just 1 point above Curacao. So they're very, very lucky to avoid being relegated altogether, or hitting that relegation playoff against Mardu, which I think they would have been safe anyway. It's been a good season. So far this season, really inconsistent. Yeah, okay, they beat Noma, but I think that was a fluke more than anything. They got a drew with Panu.
And Panu, they're the worst of the bunch. They'll struggle this year. So that's a game that Narva should be winning. But looking into some of the transfers, they signed Richard Arlen, goalkeeper who was actually Levadia's number 1 last year, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's a very good sign for them. He's only about 26 too, I believe. So they've got decent stability there with the goalkeeper. He's not bad at all. They also signed Tabretsi Davlatmir, who is a left back who's signed from Istasol, in Tajikistan. He's a Tajikistan international, about 23 caps.
Yeah.
Seen him play a few times. He looks very ordinary. Yeah, doesn't look he's going to light the league up. They also lost Chinedu Godfrey, who went back to the Ukraine from his loan spell.
I believe he's out on loan in Finland at the moment.
Yeah, I think he is. Yeah, he scored 7 goals last year for Narva.
They've started very inconsistently. They've played 4, they've got 5 points. They've drew games of the games they expect to be winning. So they've drew with Pärnu and they've drew with Legion. They're the teams that are going to be down there. They were lucky to beat Noma. They were just having an off day, in my opinion. And when they come up against Pies, they got smashed.
Yeah, so in theory, they could even be on 9 points if they beat Pärnu and Legion, which would have put them joint top, I believe.
Yeah, I think they'll struggle towards as the season progresses, and I think they're very lucky that there are just 2 worse teams in the league than them.
Yeah, agreed. Right, 9th place. I'm going to say Curacao.
Okay, I'm going Pärnu.
Okay, we'll talk about them simultaneously anyway. Let's start with Curacao. Curacao have been riding their luck now for a few years. What to say about them? They're very average. Average, not even average. They're bad. They've got some good players there. They've got Magnus Karafeld, former Flora Tallinn goalkeeper. I think he's a good goalkeeper. If Curacao are to go down, I think he would move on. Maybe even to Hyde to replace Aksulu as long-term replacement. So it's fine. They've also got Matthias Manalan on loan from Flora, who was also there last year. Last year, he scored 4 goals in 14 games.
It's not to be sniffed at for a team like Kuala but where they're not getting many chances. But he's already hit the ground running this year as well.
Yeah, he's got 2 goals this year. He's only 19 as well, so there's time for him to develop.
So it'd be interesting to see if he keeps performing, whether Flora will call him back maybe and give him to either a better team or use him himself. So if they did that, which is hypothetical, Curacao will really be a big mess.
But yeah, like I say, they've got good players. They've got Karafeld. They've got that Manalan who looks like he can score some goals. Sander Lat is a good player. He can. It seems like it just doesn't click for them. They've got players.
They're very suspect defence. The defenders don't seem good enough. So they're sort of well good attacking.
Yeah,
but they're just not very good.
Very, very long season for them. It's hard to see after, especially watching their first couple of games. It's hard to see where a win come from.
Yeah, because if Noma, how you win that finishing, that would have been 6-7, maybe 8-0.
Agreed.
They got peppered. It's just fortunately for them, their Noma Kauyu just seem to be lackluster at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Curacao. Long, hard season for them. Moving on to the other team that are likely to find it very hard this year, and that's Pärnu, newly promoted. What to say about Pärnu? They drew with Narva 0-0. Yeah, that's right. They got first game of the season. I believe it was Levadia they had, wasn't it?
Yeah, they lost 5-0.
Yeah, that's right, and barely saw them with the ball, which is, you've got to give it a go. But against Levadia, they were really outplayed. It was like men versus boys.
So they'll be battling with Kuala for the bottom spot. I think they were fortunate to come up. Mardu bottled it in the East Liiga.
Agreed. We all thought Mardu all season that Mardu would come back up.
Yeah, they lost Mardu on the last day, but fortunately for them, they were already up, so they might have rested a few players. Would they have put a Lasella in relegation playoff?
Maybe.
Yeah, but I'm not too sure. So yeah, them and Parnu could have Lasella would be the bottom two. Like I said, whatever order,
Yeah,
doesn't matter. They'll both go down.
yeah. They've made a couple of signings. Tauno Teko from Temeka seems to be the main one they've brought. They've also got a couple of young players on loan from Levadia. Anton Krudogalov, who is a left midfielder. He's played a couple of times this season already. David Letter, who's a striker. He's also played a couple of times. No joy yet in front of goal, but yeah, if you come from Levadia, it might help them out a bit. But yeah, it'll be a long, hard year for them.
Yeah, the next few games they've got Legion, Televic, then Temeka. Maybe get a couple of points out of that.
Yeah,
it'd be very unlikely.
That Legion one would be interesting. That's it then for the team front. There are some scheduled fixtures for the weekend, but obviously with this league at the minute, it's very unsure what's being played and what's not being played due to the coronavirus. Saturday, Pied is supposed to have Kulisera. That's the only game on Saturday, and on Sunday, Parnu are supposed to have Temeka. Narva are supposed to have Televic. Kaiju versus Levadia, and Legion versus Flora. And I hope they all go ahead. It would be good to get Flora up and running, see how good they actually look this year. So we'll just wait and see. They seem to be cancelling the games very late.
Yeah. But I fancy Pied to beat Kurisela fairly easily.
Yeah, agreed.
Parnu, Temeka. I'd like to say Temeka, but Parnu have got a few games under their belt. Now Temeka have only played once. So that'd be a very interesting game.
I'd still back Temeka.
You think so?
Yeah.
And then Levick, draw. Both teams are average. Narva, I'm not expecting anything from them this year. Yes, I'd say draw.
Yeah.
Levadia, Kaiju, fancy Levadia.
Yeah, this is the biggest game of the weekend. First road test for Levadia, so be interesting to see how they come up against a half decent side. I still think they'll win comfortably, 3 or 4-0, personally. I hope and prove right. So we'll see for that.
Yeah.
And then local derby, Legion Flora. Hopefully that goes ahead. As we said before, Flora hasn't played a game yet in the league due to the coronavirus. Players keep contracting the virus. And it's obviously frustrating, but understandable. But hopefully that game can go ahead.
Yeah, and obviously you fancy Flora.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. Before we wrap up, they have announced that the SE Liiga and the SE Liiga B, which is the second and third tier of Estonian football, is due to kick off again on the 4th of March, 4th of May, sorry, which is good news. That's been suspended, since March.
Yeah, so they're dropping it from 34 rounds, I believe, to 27. So, yeah.
The games we've lost then they're not coming back, I presume.
Yeah. So we'll try to discuss the SE Liiga. SE Liiga B, not so much. But SE Liiga B fairly simple. Talina Kalev, I think, will smash it.
Yeah, agreed. Mardu would be up there.
Be interested to see what Elva do.
Yeah.
Nova United. Seem like they're up and coming. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. It'd be interesting that they keep up and running.
Yeah, agreed. So that pretty much wraps it up for this episode. We're going to try do one next week for the Swedish Allsvenskan when that kicks off. We were going to do one for it, like a preview for it now, but we didn't really see much point of it. So we'll come back next week with a recap of the Allsvenskan games
and the Superlatin.
We'll also talk more of Estonia, as there would be fixtures. Norway coming up in May. Really looking forward to that. Fantasy League kicked off today as well, so good to get that going. And we'll talk briefly about Denmark in future episodes, but it's near the end of the season, so we'll wait for that to kick off again.
Yeah, it's just pretty much who's going to win the league. Is it going to be Brøndby or is it going to be Midtjylland? And can Lyngby catch Vouch? That's pretty much it for Denmark in a minute. And obviously they've got the Danish Cup, which is going on at the moment. Midtjylland won today, 1-0. Aarhus versus Randers later.
That'll be a good game. Aarhus, fancy that.
But I fancy Midtjylland to win the cup.
Yeah, but Aarhus is no joke. That'll be a good game.
Yeah. So about Denmark. Talk about Denmark when we can. The season's nearly done. So yeah.
Yeah, so I think that wraps it up, doesn't it?
What you liked, what you didn't like, what we could improve on. As we said, it's our first one, so we're a little bit rusty, of course. We look to improve. We'll try to get some better equipment eventually and all that stuff. But for now, we just hope you enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.